Welcome back. Vodafone Idea share price is down 3%. This is over and above the 8% fall that it had yesterday after the Supreme Court rejected Vodafone Idea and Bharti Airtel's plea seeking a waiver of interest and penalty on the adjusted gross revenue dues, AGR dues. The Supreme Court called the petitions shocking, misconceived. Now, the decision comes as a setback for Vodafone Idea, which is reeling under huge debt. The company had earlier cautioned the government that it won't survive beyond FY26 without relief. So the question is, what next? What's the road ahead for Vodafone Idea now? Telecom expert Sanjay Kapoor, who was also previously the CEO of Bharti Airtel, is now with us on the show. Sanjay, thank you very much for joining in. The Supreme Court has pushed the ball back in the government's court. The government owns a 49% stake in Vodafone Idea. So what are the options that rest with the government now?
Arina, good morning to you and the viewers. Yes, the situation for VIL seems very precarious. And of course, getting back to government now, does government want to own VIL as majority shareholders and cross the hump of 50% ownership? I'm not too certain of that. Why would government want that? They already have a BSNL to nurture and take care of. So that seems a little unlikely. So what will the government do? Does government have more appetite to create some sort of a relief for them? We will all wait and watch. But one thing I must say, the government in the past has definitely made sincere efforts to keep alive the oligopoly, which is good for the customers and good for a market India's size. But I think what the government can do, and without causing relief only to VIL, because government has to create a level playing field for Jio and Airtel as well. Tomorrow, if they come with an ask for similar relief, will the government be able to do it? Then will the government become over-invested in telecom? So I think the chances of government now stepping in and not offering a level playing field to the other operators and overly committing themselves to VIL also probably seems to be, the chances seem to be diminishing now. So the road looks really tough, and all of us will wait to see what unfurls from here from the government side.
So there are two options with the government. One is converting further dues into equity. That would mean making Vodafone Idea a PSU company. And the second is providing another relief package, but that would be for the industry. It cannot be specific to Vodafone Idea. And therefore, the government may not have the wherewithal to do it. Is that right, in terms of a summary?
Absolutely.
So both options from the government seem unrealistic.
Absolutely. Right now, I think government will be in a very tight spot if they exercise for the either.
Okay. So if left to market forces, there is no intervention from the government, banks are not touching Vodafone Idea, and investors have burnt their fingers even in the last FPO, both big investors and even the retail shareholders. So now left to market forces, what happens to Vodafone Idea?
Right now we can't see any private operator coming in. We don't see the appetite of their promoters to pump in overly too much money to keep them A, liquid, and B, more importantly, to make them competitive in the market. Whether we like it or not, telecom is a mark-to-market business where you need to fiercely compete with others in the market. Your offerings and customer experience needs to be equated with them, if not better than them, if you want to stay competitive. And I think the monies that are required to make that happen are humongous, and small reliefs and interim reliefs and sporadic reliefs cannot create competitiveness that you're looking for. That's on one side when I look at Vodafone in isolation. But when I look at Vodafone in relation to Airtel and Jio, who are fully funded, who already have an enviable network compared to VIL when it comes to a mark-to-market position, and they've already garnered almost 80% of the market jointly. So where is the room for VIL, even if they get partially funded, to challenge the two market operators, leading market operators? So I think even if a Vodafone Idea was to linger on for a while, there'd be a distant third operator who will probably be gasping for breath more often than not. So I think truly a mark-to-market play or a competitive play seems out of bounds for now. It's only a survival. How long can they continue is 2026 a realistic figure? Will it be 2027, or will it happen earlier to say we are going to NCLT and we can't keep this company liquid anymore? So I think the news is definitely not encouraging for them. Although I'm sure they are trying every possible resort to come out of this crisis. I wish them good luck, but odds really are against them.
So it seems like NCLT is the end game
It's
for
the end
Vodafone
game, yes.
Idea. You don't know when it'll happen, but
Right.
going by what Sanjay is saying.
You know what is a very interesting observation from the Supreme Court ruling as well from yesterday that Citi has also highlighted. Sanjay, good morning. Thank you for joining in. That was the observation that I was talking to you about, that the Supreme Court mentioned that if the government wants to help you, we are not coming in the way. And the fact that even Bharti followed suit with Vodafone Idea despite being in good financial health, saying that if there is relief, it should be non-discriminatory. Is this the likely outcome that both the companies and the government were hoping for, and that the government could now go ahead, provide the AGR dues and still be compliant with the Supreme Court verdict? And part two of my question is, if they can rework the AGR framework, if they need to provide the relief, or has that ship sailed long ago?
So, whatever they do, it'll be with a prospective effect. I don't think they can change rules with a retrospective effect, because if they tweak around too much with AGR, then probably VIL will gain and Airtel will gain. But what happens to Jio, who don't have a lot of dues? Will it not be discriminatory for them? So I think there are many challenges that the government will have to do it from a retrospective. So I think any changes, if at all, can be from a prospective effect, according to me.
Okay. This is not something we've discussed. But what if Vodafone Idea goes into NCLT by its own volition, or if it's forced? How do you then expect? Will it be sold as a sum of its parts? Do you think there would be a willing buyer to buy the company as a whole? Because India is still a large market and there are only two players. I mean, if we have to, conceive of this option playing out, what would your thoughts be?
I don't want to be sounding very pessimistic, but the fact is that today the two leading operators are nibbling into the market share of VIL irrespective. So when they grow on price, they're also growing on the market share gain that they have because of VIL. So why would they invest and buy such a company? So I don't see any one of those two going ahead and saying, let's merge this with us. And we've seen in the past that, a VIL and Vodafone and a Idea merger did not click. Now the other option is, will operators in other parts of the world look at India? Well, that option was always available. VIL, you think, has not knocked the doors of operators all across and investors all across, whether minority or majority. I'm sure they would have been open to all. We've not seen anybody come. The American operators have been here, left India, went away. So I think everybody knows the position. Plus, the world over now, the third operator and the fourth operator, because of the more frequent capital cycles, are becoming lesser competitive. Now, if you invest into a third operator, even if it's a large country like India, your odds are against you, because the two large operators in the market have taken the pole positions. Now, how do you compete with them? So, I mean, will it be good money chasing bad money if they end up doing it? So, we've not seen the traction so far. I don't rule it out completely. But again, the chances of any international operator coming and pumping money behind a third operator who's losing market share seems a little tricky to me.
I know, Sanjay, you don't want to sound very pessimistic, but isn't this almost delaying the inevitable of sorts? Because considering whatever you just mentioned, to summarize that, isn't it technically pointing to the NCLT being the end game for Vodafone Idea, considering banks not willing to touch it, investors not willing to come on board? So possibly that's the last possible recourse unless the government springs a surprise.
Well, that's a no-brainer. Everybody knows that's the end point. All we are trying to do is, we are saying, is there a way that an oligopoly remains for a large, economy like India, and the customers have more choices And I think that's the, hope that all of us live with. And, we don't want Voda to go away or Voda idea to go away. But at the end of the day, like I said, this is a business which requires huge amount of financial resources. And especially with the technology and the longevity of technology shrinking, the capital cycles have become more frequent, and you might get a survival kit today. But what about the newer technologies that are looking into your face and might be a reality in a very short while? What about other enabling technologies like artificial intelligence and all that is going to generate a better customer experience? How will you pump money into all that? So just to stay competitive, you require a lot of money. And I'm afraid somebody who's struggling for small amounts of money, where and how will he garner that? So I think the odds are against them. Like I said, we hope that oligopoly remains, but not too sure how long, and when they pull the plugs, only they know. We cannot step into their shoes and take that call.
Yeah, we've not even spoken about the scenario that what if 6G comes, right? And there are spectrum auctions and companies have to invest big money. Then, how are you going to get that money? But thank you, Sanjay. It's been a great conversation as always for joining in. Get into a break. On the other side, we'll get you more on the market. Stay tuned.